Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to Hollywood, where we're going to be trying to find movie names that have things in common with certain categories. We're talking about Double Feature. This is a party game for 4 to 10 players, and today we're not doing a review, we're going to be doing a rule school. Essentially, we're going to be teaching you how to play the game, so when you get this game, you can just not read the rules and dive right in. Now, let's take a look. I'll go through setup, and then how the game plays, and then I'll come back at the end. Sit up straight in that director's chair because Double Feature is a party game where you're trying to be the fastest to shout out a movie that has to do with 2 different categories, such as theme and genres, characters, settings, production, props, and scenes. See if you can be the quickest to yell out some of these examples. A Western war movie that's 1 word long. A movie that has characters from outer space or out of town with a scene that's time travel or a countdown. A movie with a prop that's something either red, white, or blue and a setting of New York, Chicago, or Los Angeles. Tragedy that has a prop of rocks, papers, or scissors. A title that's at least 4 words long and a scene that has to do with their smoking, burning, or firing. One director of the round is the judge in giving the card to the first person that has the right answer, and the next player will get to select a new card to go with the one from last round that was the newest one. Be the first person to get as many points as needed to win for your amount of players, and you've won Double Feature. To set up, take out all the cards that were in the box and separate them out into the 6 different categories and shuffle each deck and make sure they're in reach of all the players in the middle of the table. One player will be selected randomly as the director for this round. They're essentially the judge. They will select any one of the cards from the top of one of these decks, and they would read it, theme and genre, and they flip it over and say kids movie or family movie. They then select the top card of any of the other decks other than the one they've already selected. So let's say they say props, lions, tigers, or bears. And at this point, everybody except for the director is trying to think of a movie that has to do with these 2 things, and they're shouting it out as quickly as they can. The first person to do so will win and get the point to the judge of the director. So people might yell out Lion King or maybe Jungle Book, and whoever did it correctly would get the card that was there the longest, which is this one. This would be 1 point placed in front of the player that was the quickest to correctly come up with a movie. The new director is assigned to be the player who was to the left of the director of the previous turn, and that player will select any one of the cards on top of the decks that isn't currently there. And let's say they select setting. They would say setting, rural. And the same thing would happen. They would be the judge for the other characters, and maybe someone yells out Wizard of Oz, because Kansas is rural and it has lions, tigers, or bears. And then that player would get the oldest card for the point, like this, and this would continue on. But let's say when it's the next player's turn as director, they select production. And title is 1 word long. Well, maybe after a certain amount of time, nobody can come up with a movie that has this. The director would then pick a card, a new card that's not one of the types that's here, and put it out there and read it. Scenes, there's smoking, burning, or firing. Now the players can link any 2 of these cards as fast as they can, and maybe someone yells out Backdraft, because that's a movie that's about fire, and it's 1 word long, and so they would get the point. The point they would get is the linked card that's been out there the longest, which is this one. The linked card, the other linked card will stay here, and the card that was not linked at all would get shuffled back into its corresponding deck, and then the director would be the next player to the left as usual. A very rare circumstance where a second card is brought out, nobody can figure it out after some time. A third card is brought out, nobody can figure it out at one time. If a long time has passed, the director can decide to discard all 3 of these, shuffle them back into their respective decks, and start over. Certain things that are allowed and not allowed. Basically, any movie released commercially in theaters is allowed, and those could be feature films, foreign films, animated films, and documentaries. What's not allowed are any made-for-TV movies or movies that have gone straight to video. No television shows, television series, or miniseries. Now, the same movie cannot win points twice in a row, but the same movie could win points later in the game. The same movie franchise cannot win 2 rounds in a row, and it includes prequels or sequels that share a name even if they have different subtitles. For example, Alien and Aliens. Or a movie with an incompatible titles called out. Say Taxi is not acceptable for Taxi Driver. Now for the director, it's important that you get the first person that said anything correctly, and you might not be aware of the movie, and you might not even have ever seen it or even heard of it, but you still have to say it's first, and then if you're not sure and you don't trust them, you can look it up. If a player disagrees with the decision, they can challenge them, and people look up reference media on their smartphones or any way to prove whether an answer is correct or not. Once someone has reached the point total for a specific player count, they will win the game. For example, with 4 players, you need 10 points to win, and if there's 8 through 10 players, you need 6 points to win, and everything in between. There's also 2 variants. There's the we few variant. If you're less than 4 people, the director can shout out things as well. And there's the Rain Man variant. This is used if someone's just way too good. The person who got the card correct is the one that's the director for next round, so essentially they aren't winning 2 times in a row. Well, there you have it. That's how you play. Hopefully this has allowed you to dive right in without reading the rules. Maybe you'll reference the video from time to time. There's timestamps down below in the description of this video so that you can jump to any specific section that you like. If you have any other questions, just leave them as comments here and I'll do my best to address them.